All right. So this will be our first episode, and we were just talking about Harold and Gabriel and their huge rivalry. For those that don't follow wheelchair bodybuilding, Harold has always won. Harold Kelly is the 18, 19, 20, 21, four-time Olympia champ now, and however many times he's won the Arnold, 4, 5, 6 times, something like that.
No, at least.
Something like that.
Put it this way:
And
when's the last time he lost?
well, yeah. So that's what I was just thinking about. As far as I know, his entire pro career, he only lost to Nick Scott once, which was I don't know what year that was, but a while ago, right? So he lost to Nick once.
I think it was 14.
Dallas. Yeah, so a while ago. But so yeah, he lost to Nick once, and now here we are all these years later. He finally lost to Gabriel at this last Arnold Classic. So now we have the most storyline ever heading into the Olympia, right? Is Harold kind of on the downslide, or is he going to come back and take the crown back? So we'll see. What do you guys think?
I mean, he's beaten Gabriel how many times previously?
As far as I know, every single time.
Yeah,
every time Gabriel's came over.
I'm curious to know what the feedback was, but I would imagine if it was me and I won that much, I would probably not have as much hunger and fire. So if he came in like one show a little less, fine-tuned as he normally is, I would imagine he's going to come into Olympia with a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder this time. So I would lean towards Harold, but anything could happen. I mean, and to be honest, Anthony's not far off either. He's definitely got the conditioning. I just don't know that he's got the symmetry and the size that Harold and Gabriel have.
Yep.
So
Anthony's condition is amazing.
He's close. He's right there.
Yeah, I think he's definitely the king of our division when it comes to conditioning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Harold's been the best at being the middle ground of everything, size and condition and everything. But Anthony is the one who brings the unbelievable conditioning, right? Where it just doesn't even make sense what you're looking at.
Right.
So
must be the cigars. I don't know.
It's got to be. That's got to be the secret.
Yeah.
I believe that Harold came in a little bit. He didn't come in as dry as he normally did, and I think that's kind of what pushed Gabriel up over the top.
Yep.
Arnold.
Gabriel looked really good. From the pictures I saw, Gabriel looked awesome. He looked huge. He looked dry. He looked everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You never know, man. There's so many little things that can make your body just kind of react a certain way on any given day, and you just never know. It could have been just some freak thing with Harold, like you said, something he ate the night before, or something he didn't eat that he normally eats or takes. Who knows?
I feel like that there. What was it? Like, given our situation, that affects us even more. If we're not on time with something or anything, too much water, not enough water, I just feel like that affects us even more than the able-bodied guys.
Being bloated. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Of course, the other side of it is you could say that Gabriel was progressing all this time and continued to progress, and then maybe Harold kind of hit a plateau. I mean, the dude's like 50 years old or something.
Mm-hmm. Somewhere around there.
I mean, father time's undefeated, but Harold's like a freak.
Right.
So.
Harold's a freak, though. I couldn't believe his stories. His stories are crazy. So whenever he's able to get on the podcast, we'll have him tell his beginning stories of bodybuilding. And he was freaking me out with stuff that he's done. I think he was saying something like he walked into his first show. I think he placed in the top 3. He had no idea what he was doing. His posing. He said he got some magazines and he went to the show. He went to his hotel the night before the show and just threw the magazines on the ground and started making up his own posing routine based off magazines. He didn't have a posing coach. I think he still placed in the top 3 or top 4, So he's the Ronnie Coleman of wheelchair,
Oh, yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, pretty much. When you dominate that long, just the perfect, symmetry with the broadness and the strength and size up top and the tiny waist. I mean, Ronnie used to be neck and neck with everybody until he turned around and hit that back pose, and then pretty much just crushed everybody when he did that. Game over at that point. And I kind of feel like Harold's kind of the same way. I'm not saying he's got a back pose like Ronnie did, but
his back is crazy though.
Oh yeah, I think the back can really be the differentiator a lot of times.
Yeah, his mid back is. I don't even understand how you build that much thickness in the mid back. How he has, right? It's crazy.
Christmas tree at the bottom, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. But Gabriel's done a hell of a job chasing him down. It seems like maybe it's in the back pose is where Harold's a bit more ahead of him, but Gabriel brought up all the other poses, and came in really dry,
Oh yeah.
So
I think because Gabriel training with Dorian Yates, I think that's just helped him progress like crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know, like what?
He's getting a lot of coaching from really smart people, clearly, with the posing, probably fine tuning stuff, and he came up with the training. I mean, you ever watch Dorian train anybody, but I watch him train Gabriel. And so just one quick thing on my background. I played wheelchair basketball in Texas, and it was in Arlington, Texas, which is also the home where the home gym Metroflex is for Ronnie and Branch Warren. So I actually had a trainer there and trained the last summer I was there. So I got to see a little bit of Ronnie and Branch. I mean, good God, like you watch them guys train, it's on a whole different level of just intensity and how hard they push themselves. So like you watch Dorian training Gabriel, that's what he's doing. And, that might have put him over the top this last time, just putting that much more effort into it. You have to grow. You can't train like that and not grow. I mean, unless you're not doing the diet right. But I mean, assuming he is, that could be the difference, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, that's when he blew up, because I don't totally remember the time period. I think it was 2019 is when he started working with them, if I remember correctly. But 2018, he placed somewhere in the middle. I don't remember where. I placed dead last that year at the Olympia. Gabriel placed somewhere in the middle. He wasn't in the top 3. And I believe it was that next year he worked with Dorian. He came back that next year and he took second, if I'm remembering correctly. So that was the year that he drastically improved,
Yeah, no doubt. So
and Dorian probably got his diet like tuned in and everything.
I'm sure. Yeah. And I forgot to ask him when we were at the Olympia last year, but I wanted to ask him, like, what's the worst thing that Dorian ever made you do? What was the worst workout? What was because he's the intensity guy, right? He's the king of, we're only going to do like 9 sets and leave the gym, but I'm going to make your eyeballs pop out in those 6 to 9 sets, So
45-minute workout.
Yeah, like it'll be a 30-minute workout, but you'll have a stroke halfway through,
Yeah.
So
dude, that's how it was at Metroflex. The guy who trained me was taught by Brian Dobson, who
I've heard of him.
Yeah, trained Ronnie in the beginning. He's the one that owns the original Metroflex. And I mean, dude, it's just between the drop sets, the super sets, the forced reps, and then in Metroflex, you're doing that in a gym that has dirt floors and no air conditioning, and it's 100 degrees in Texas in August, and it's over 100 degrees in that gym training like that. I mean, and that was the beginnings of bodybuilding for me, because I was playing. I've played wheelchair basketball for 16 years, but I didn't get into bodybuilding until 2010, and that's where I started with. So they kind of like set the stage for me of like, this is what you got to do if you're really going to do this and take it seriously. That level of just intensity is just nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it. We base my training off a lot of Dorian stuff, and it's just, I like the intensity of it because the workout's done and over within an hour, if that. It's move on for the rest of the day. But heck, for the rest of the day, I'm freaking drained. It sucks.
Yeah. And I've always resonated. I've always resonated with more Dorian style of training too. but there's something to be said for either style of training. I think of it like Jay Cutler style of training or Dorian Yates. They were dead opposite. One guy won the Olympia 4 times, one guy won it 6 times, right?
Right.
Jay Cutler was a 20 set guy. He would do 20 sets per body part, he said, you know,
Cool.
versus, so he was a high volume guy, and look at him. I mean, he
That's-
beat Ronnie, right? He was the king.
Oh yeah.
But then Dorian, he was the exact opposite. He's going to do what, like 6 to 9 sets or whatever, but kill it. And so it depends on your genetics, you know, so try them both and see what works for you. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
With me, like I've always liked Dorian's style. I've always been more of a kill it in a short amount of time and leave the gym kind of guy. But here and there, I'll dabble with a higher volume style of training. But I don't know, Dorian's style always feels right to me 90% of the time.
Oh, yeah. I like to go heavy and just push it and then be done.
Yeah.
I found, like, I did the high reps like in the beginning, and my stuff, it's like I did the high reps, the supersets and everything. It progressed me a little bit, but like ever since like I've done the Dorian style, the heavy, you know, those few extra forced reps and everything, that just changed everything on me. And I just more size, everything like that.
Well, I've kind of adjusted into the more high volume, and it's really come down to just I'm 45 years old. I got the shoulders of an 80-year-old man from playing wheelchair basketball for 16 years. And I just can't go heavy anymore. I mean, my shoulders just won't allow it. But it doesn't mean that I can't train and go till failure the way I always have. I can't do like the crazy intense, super heavy, you know. I can still push myself really hard, but I have to back off the weight a little bit. So I'll go 15 reps and I make sure I'm going to failure at 15, but it's a lot slower tempo, pauses, not the herky jerky style. You can still get there. I mean, obviously, if you can go heavier, I think that is the quickest route to packing on size, you know, along with the intensity. But there comes a time for all of us where, unless you're Harold, right? You know, Father Time will catch up, and I've just had to adjust a little bit. But, you know, I get in about 20 sets per body part, 1 body part per day. And, you know, the last couple of years, now that I'm not playing basketball anymore, I'm finally seeing some gains, probably more so than I ever have. So it's working for me.
Yeah, and there's just something to be said for that. I mean, how we had 2 Olympia winners that had their era of dominance, and they were completely opposite training styles, right? There's something to be said for that, you know? And it also makes me think about, you guys know who Mark Bell is? Mark Bell, he's a powerlifting legend. He's the guy who invented the slingshot. You'll see that here and there.
Yeah.
But so that guy, his gym is like a half hour from me. So I've trained with him a bunch of times. And he was saying his opinion, maybe there's a time and a place for both in your life, right? When you're younger, you can handle heavier weight when you're younger. Then as you get older, switch to more of a high volume style, but lower weight. Or there's like the Milos style of training where he's big on supersets, right? Yep. So by the nature of it, you can't go quite so heavy when you're doing supersets. That's what I'm assuming he had Chris Dim do. And Chris Dim was incredible, right?
Yeah. So, he's a monster.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, there's not one way to do it. I think it depends on the context, depends on your genetics, depends on the context of where you're at in your journey. So, but it's interesting to study it all and just have an open mind to all of it. Try everything at some point and just see what makes your body respond well and what can you recover from, you know?
Right.
Yeah. I think that you hit the nail on the head. It's the same thing with dieting. You know, you have to try it and see what works for you, right? Yep. Because everybody's body is a little bit different, you know. And I know people talk about ectomorph, endomorph, mesomorph. I don't know what the hell I am. All I know is I've experimented with enough stuff that I know what works for me. Yep. You know, with dieting, I've tried every diet under the sun, from keto, I went vegan for a little while, paleo. Over the years, I've done it all. And right now I just reverted back to just the old school, traditional, you know, balance of protein, carbs, and fats, you know, probably a 40-40-20 split. I let my coach worry about the macro numbers and all that. And, you know, that's what's working best. But I've tried them all, and that's why I feel confident in what's working for me right now, you know?
I hear
Sure.
about that too. Yeah. I hear about that too with some pros that some of them are low carb guys. Some of them are keep the carbs higher, but go lower on the fat.
Yeah.
And both people that talk about their diet, they're both high level bodybuilders, but they have two different
Yeah.
styles of dieting. So again, depends on your genetics, right? Depends on what
Yeah.
makes your body look best.
Absolutely. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So
I know it's like my diet. I do just freaking straight chicken and brown rice and some flaxseed oil whenever I'm doing my prep and everything. And that just gets rough. But I found out that
Yeah.
that's what works out best for me so far. I see some guys that their prep diets and everything. It's like they have like extra seasoning and all that other stuff, and it's like I miss that because whenever I'm doing my prep and everything, I don't get any of that. I just feel like it's rough, but it sets the tone, and it's like it just kind of puts you almost on a different level, mindset wise. I think.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
usually the first like three weeks of your prep, you're like slowly starting, and then
Mhm.
for me, like about week 3 is where that switch is flipped, and like okay,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
enjoying the suffering, I'm enjoying bland food, I'm enjoying what you
Yeah.
know, like now I'm getting competitive and I want to win, you know. So
Yeah.
Right. Just makes you step up everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
in the beginning it kind of sucks making the switch, right? But after 2 or 3 weeks, like then you kind of get into it.
For me, it's definitely that 3 week mark. It just sucks. And then like the 4th week comes rolling around, it's like, okay, this isn't bad. Just eat to eat and get it over
Yeah.
with.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of kept my dieting. I guess I've been doing it for so long now. I just kind of keep mine going year round, although it's not strict right now. And then like as I get closer to the show, I get stricter and stricter and stricter. You know, I don't know when you officially start prep, but you know, mine's at least 4 months, if not 6 months out, where I'm like, okay, you know, we got to cut the BS out, really buckle down, measure out the meals, start, you know, zoning in. But by the time I get down to like the last month, you know, no BS, no crap, no likes extra seasoning here and extra little taste of this there. None of that. That's all done, and it's, you know, it's time to focus, and whatever the coach says to a T. That's exactly what you have to do, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then when you get to that final month too, especially that final 3 weeks, then you're judging it off of how you look. You're usually so lean by that point. Now you're judging, when do I have a cheat meal? When do I go have a burger and fries and fill out a bit? How you
Exactly.
looking, right? Versus when you're like 4 months out, it's kind of on like, it's on paper, it's on a set plan. What are you going to
Yeah.
do? And then in that last 3 weeks, there's nothing on paper. You just kind of wing it in the final 3 weeks. Because what do I look like? Do I need more? Do I need less? You know,
Yeah.
so that's kind of how I do it, you know.
Well, but I think that's what you need to do though. Like I've found over the years, I've started my prep earlier and earlier as the years go on,
I started doing
just so
that
I
too.
can know
Yeah.
I get to that point where you're talking about, and you're not worried about if you're going to get to that point on time. No, you get there well ahead of time, and then you can fine tune, you know, and then it's, you know, you get to enjoy the cheat meals at that point. And you come back after a cheat meal and you're like, holy crap, I look amazing, right? And I just
Yep.
ate like a burger and fries and it tasted amazing, and I still got 2 weeks to go. But
Yep.
that's where you
Like
want
I
to be
know
for
the
sure.
3 weeks, like 3 weeks out for me, it's like it's almost changing like my food and diet's like changing almost every other day just to
Yep.
suck down even more. Like, I think it's rough. I don't think a lot of people understand what we go through for that.
Yeah.
And then I always try to be ready about 3 weeks out. That's always about my goal. Is I'm 100% ready 3 weeks out. Then I coast into to the show, and okay, do I need to do a little more carbs, a little less carbs? How watery am I looking? Whatever, right? And then you have plenty of time to manipulate that, you know.
Yeah, you know, I think that's why I've just kept it going in the off season, you know, and like I said, it's off season. I go out to eat usually once a week, whether that's a full on cheat meal or if it's just what I call a clean cheat, where I just go out and get a steak and baked potato and vegetables, which is not far from my normal diet anyways, or something that's not like far off. And then I allow myself something a little sweet here and there, a Diet Coke here and there, something like that. But I'm keeping the main like foods in, you know, the chickens, the ground turkeys, steak, fish, eggs in the morning, but I keep it going. So then when I'm getting into prep mode, and right now I'm eating as much as I possibly can. Like, yeah, I feel you have to do that in the off season, like to the point where you can't eat anymore. So that when you get into the cutting phase, you're shaving just little by little as you go. And if you've eaten more in the off season, by the time you get down to the very end, you're not having to cut nearly as much and suffer as much. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's, again, over the years, I figured that out. If you do it year round, it's easier when you get into the grind time of prep. So,
Right.
Yep, I've definitely felt too. Like, tell me what you guys have felt, but the first couple times you did prep and everything, you were really missing whatever the junk food was, right? Because it was the first time you ever did it, and you were just constantly thinking about what you can't have. And now here I am. I don't know how many shows I've done now. Now I don't want it. Like I want to. I don't know. It gets easier to get more focused and get more competitive. And hey, I want to place better in my show. So pizza just doesn't appeal to me. You know, right. I remember just the other day, like I had a predicament where I got caught in a parking lot for 3 hours because like I had a flat tire one day and then something else happened another day. So I had a bunch of like car problems, but I'm stuck in the parking lot for 3-4 hours. So I'm like, okay, I got to eat something. I'm dying. I'm in my off season. So I went and got whatever was next to me. So it was like, I think I got a slice of pizza or something, but I'm like, I don't want it. I ate it because like I'm starving and I don't know what I'm getting out of this parking lot, but I don't want it. You know, it annoyed me that I had to eat it. Kind of, you know, it annoyed me that I was stuck, and I want some chicken and some veggies and some sweet potato.
Yeah.
You know,
well, pizza probably made you feel like shit too. Like I eat,
I
just eat cheat meals now, and I'm like,
I don't even miss it. Yeah.
I still eat cheat meals. I mean, I enjoy the flavor, you know, but it always makes me feel like shit. I still do it, you know, because I can right now. But I can totally relate, Tyler, because, you know, you get used to the clean eating and your body gets used to it. And you slowly, like drinking a full on Coke that's not diet, or it's got so much freaking sugar in it, I almost can't finish it, you know? Or if I go like eat a big old thing of ice cream, I'm like, my God, like my body's like, what the hell are you doing to me right now?
Yep.
Sick to your stomach and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll still do cheat meals, but especially this off season, I kind of want to save them for special occasions. You know, when I'm out with buddies and okay, now let's order some pizza or whatever, because it's a special occasion. But when I'm in my routine, I'm really enjoying sticking to my routine. But it wasn't like that when I first got into bodybuilding. It wasn't like that, right? It was tough to stick to the routine. I did want the pizza. I did want whatever. And now it's kind of nice that I'm enjoying my routine of having a healthy meal pretty much every meal, you know, and then just saving the cheat meal for a special occasion. And then you don't even feel bad about it because you don't do it often, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what else I think kind of develops over time? I'm a firm believer that bodybuilding is more mental than physical. And
for sure.
Yeah. And with the dieting, like what you guys are saying, when you first started competing, it was so hard and you were telling yourself, oh my God, it's so hard. And like, I can't, I've got this long to go and I've only had this and I only get that. But then over time, you realize that those are the wrong messages to like let, or the wrong conversations to allow going on in my brain. Whereas if you look at pros, like people that are pros, they're not bothered by dieting. They're just like, you know, it's just what I got to do.
This is what I do.
What's his name? CT Fletcher.
Yep.
Yeah, you know that quote where he's like, just shut the fuck up and eat that shit, you know? Stop complaining about it. Eat it.
And that's the thing though, when you first do a show, I think for all of us, when we first did a show, it was a bucket list fun thing, right? And then you start doing a couple and you're like, okay, I want that pro card now. It's not a fun thing anymore. Now it's a mission. You know? And now all three of us have won our pro card and they're like, oh shit, we're with the pros now. So it slowly becomes a profession in your mind. You know, it started off as just a bucket list fun thing, and now it slowly becomes like, now I'm serious about this and I want to see how far I can go, you know?
Oh yeah.
Well, tell me if you guys agree with this, because you get used to the clean eating. You know, you're looking amazing. You get to see the results, and then you're doing it slowly but surely over time. You know, and then you interact with like what I call normal people. You know, who aren't bodybuilders, who
Can't
don't
relate.
diet, and you know, and what do? They drink Starbucks in the morning. They go eat, you know, go to lunch for an hour and stuff down a bunch of crap, and then they eat another huge meal at night. And you know, their body looks like their diet, and they have that lifestyle. And I can't even like relate to those people. I'm like, how can you allow yourself to do that and know that you're going to be like basically obese for the rest of your life? I mean, I'm like, I'm on such a different mindset. It's hard for me. Like, you know, I'm a nice guy. I don't like say bad things. It's just hard for me to be friends with and be around them too often, you know? It's just completely changed my outlook on how to live life. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I agree with that completely. It's hard for me to like go out with friends and everything, and you know, they all going out to eat, and I will bring my food with me into the
Yeah.
restaurant. Just because like, hey, this is what I know I need to eat. And everybody just kind of looks at you funny, like, why? Just enjoy the steak or the chicken. We're eating cheeseburgers. I'm like, I can't. I choose not to, because I got to look a certain way, and I got bigger goals than what most of them have in life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
it's
family.
interesting for me. I go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like with your family, it took me a long time to train my family. Realize, look, I know so and so's got a birthday. I know it's whatever holiday we're getting together as a family, but I'm eating my diet food. So don't ask me. You can ask me. I'm going to say no, thank you. And it just took a
Right.
long time where they finally realized, okay, he's going to do his deal. So just leave him alone. Let him eat his food. But it took a long time to get there.
Oh, sure.
I definitely got my two groups of friends, and it's funny for me to sit back and analyze them. I'll go to my like normal people friends when it's like a Super Bowl party or something, and it's a bunch of normal people. The whole night they'll continually say, hey, "You sure you don't want a slice of pizza? You sure you don't want something?" I'm like, "This is the 8th time I've said I don't want it.
Yeah.
Why you still stop?
Exactly.
I'm not going to change my mind after 9 times telling you no. Come on, you
Yeah.
know." But they keep asking, and it's they have a totally different mentality, right? Then I have this other interesting group of friends, though, and it's people I hang out with most often is like bodybuilding friends or jujitsu and wrestling friends, because that's my other passion, right? But in both those circles, I have bodybuilder friends and wrestling and jujitsu friends who have made it to a really high level. So when I'm hanging out with them, I'll tell them, hey, I'm on prep, and they instantly know what that means. They don't even offer me a beer or whatever. Even if they're drinking one, they won't even offer it to me because they know because they've done it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's so much easier having a group of friends that can say, all right, he doesn't want it or he's not going to eat it, so don't ask. That makes everything so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, they know, don't ask. I mean, even if it's a bunch of wrestling and jiu-jitsu guys, they haven't done a bodybuilding show, but they know what discipline is, you know?
Right.
So they know, okay, he's eating clean right now. Don't ask him, you know?
Yeah.
But they automatically understand.
Yep. Yeah, they know the mentality. It's the same mentality, whatever sport you're doing. Just I'm in perfectionism mode right now. Don't mess with it. And they respect that. Versus a normal person doesn't understand that level of perfectionism, you know?
Right.
And I understand that because I mean, they've never done anything at a high level like that. They've never pushed themselves that far. They don't understand it. So I can understand, but it's frustrating sometimes when you're at the party and you got to say no 10 times, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. It's, you know, I think you have to at least have some people that understand and respect what you're going through. And look, man, different things make people happy, right? For some people, I mean, like my mom, she loves to cook and she loves to eat tasty food. And that's her passion is cooking. And she ain't never going to be a bodybuilder ever or eat bodybuilder diet ever. And that's fine. You know, I mean, it's like, just do what makes you happy but at the end of the day, it's like, you got to find those like-minded people Otherwise, it's you only got so much in common with people otherwise.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I run into that too. I'll run into, if I'm with someone who's just not ambitious in anything, I'm like, what do we talk about? Because like I'm going after things. You're not really going after anything. Aren't you bored? Like,
right.
Like,
where's your end goal type of thing?
Or how about this one? The constant excuse makers. It's like, I can't be around it. It's like, it's just like
it gets
screeching in my
annoying.
ears. I'm like, oh my God. That's why I was a trainer. I worked as a trainer for like a short period of time. I did personal training for literally like a week. And I was like, I can't do this. Like everybody I trained just whined and complained. I was pushing them, like, pushing the hell out of them. They were just ready to quit. And I was like, well, screw this. I did some group training. It was like CrossFit style. I was coaching that for a while. That was pretty fun, but I had such a hard time because most people, oh my God, it's just, they're every excuse in the book not to be there, not to, stick to the diet. It's like, you don't really want this. So like, what's the point? And I just have a hard time being around that.
Yeah. That's what I do with my clients is I'll give them an analogy. With all my clients, I'll ask them, okay, so first, what's your goal? Is it a aesthetic goal or a strength goal or whatever? But so do you want a associates of a body, a master's of a body, a doctorate of a body? Like what level do you want? You can have what you want, but if you come in telling me I want to look like The Rock, that's master's or doctorate level.
Right.
So you need to correlate that in your brain. Like if you want a doctorate of a body, it's exactly the same as getting a regular doctorate. It's going to take that many years, that much work ethic. And if you don't want that, that's fine. But don't say I want a doctorate, but I'm not willing to write a 100-page paper.
Yeah.
Right. Just make sure what you're willing to do and your goals always line up. And so I do a lot of talking with my clients on those first couple of sessions of like setting expectations and, hey, here's the goal you're giving me. Here's the requirements of that, the years, the dieting, the level of OCD that you got to be if you want to make it there. So know what you're getting yourself into or change your goal. And that's totally up to you. I don't care if a client gives me a small goal or like I want to win the Olympia. Either way, I'm going to give you a clear expectation setting on that,
Yeah. That's a good way to think about it.
I know it's like I got a few clients that do the personal training stuff, and it's just trying to get them to just drink water and cut out all the soda and the beer and all that. All the water. Drink a gallon of water for a week. You'll change. And it's just, well, I can't drink water. I'm like, how can you not? And it's like, it has to have flavor or it makes me gag when I drink it. I'm like, well, expect to be the way you are. Don't expect to change as quickly because you can't outwork a bad diet.
Right.
I explained to them a lot.
It's like if somebody put a gun to your head, are you going to be able to drink that water or not drink that water? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Can't be that bad.
No.
And that's where I'll give them small goals. I'll tell them, okay, right now, if you're that person who never ever drinks water, you take a sip a day and that's it. Okay, give me 8 ounces at every meal. 3 meals or 4 meals, however many you do, give me 8 ounces at each meal. And the meal's not over until that water's gone. The meal's not over when the food's gone. Everything has to be gone, including the water, before you get up from the table. And just start off with that. And it's not a gallon or whatever, but like that's a start when you have someone who barely ever drinks water and you're baby stepping them into it, but I'll give them a real exact goal like that. Exactly 8 ounces at these 3 meals. And that's your homework for right now,
Oh yeah. That's a good way to put things.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But awesome. I think this was a pretty good first episode. We will talk to the other guys, see who else wants to jump on, but do this once every week or two and get into everybody's personal stories, get into what got you into bodybuilding, all that stuff, and definitely start doing a lot of talking about the Olympia as it gets closer. And that Generation Iron documentary that we're going to be in, and a lot of exciting stuff for the next 5 months. Yeah. it's going to be a crazy next 5 months for wheelchair bodybuilding. So we're going to have a lot to talk about.
Oh, for sure.
No doubt.
Mhm.
Hey, so when's the Generation Iron? Is that they're following the people doing the Olympia this year? Is that what that is?
They, according to Nick, I don't know much, but it looks like they're going to pick 5 people that are qualified for the Olympia, and they're going to
Yeah.
fly out and they're going to like live with them for a couple of days, kind of thing. They're going to film their
Oh.
training and their dieting
Right.
and their prep going into the Olympia, like for those 5 people. And I'm sure go into their background stories, how'd you end up in a wheelchair, blah, 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 get into all that, the detail. And then the ending of the documentary will be all of us at the Olympia. And
Right.
so that kind of a thing. But Generation Iron is always really professional. I was just watching the Ronnie Coleman one last night, and they have all their documentaries are very, very professional. So this will be really cool for us to get something that's really detailed like this, you know?
I feel like it's going to help blow up the wheelchair class like tremendously.
Yeah. Yeah, we need stuff like this. I mean, that's why I was thinking this podcast and things like the Generation Iron documentary to get our stories out there and get our personalities out there. And, you know who you're looking at when you see us on the Olympia stage. You know the history of Harold has always won. He's only lost twice his whole pro career. Is he going to lose again, or is the king still the king? You know, there's a lot of drama there for us, right? This has never been a more exciting time in wheelchair bodybuilding than now, but the average person won't know that. So we need to get that message out there. I'm really excited. I get whatever place I get. As soon as I figure out my place, okay, I'm looking over to see, okay, who's going to win the thing too. Like, I'm just as excited as a fan as I am as a competitor, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So,
it's like whenever I was down in Dallas watching you guys compete and everything, I was more excited than I believe half of the crowd, just because I love watching you guys up there.
Yeah, and just you have more personal connection though. You know everybody's story, right? And I think that's what you need. It needs, the stories need to draw you in, and the history of how exciting that it is that Gabriel just beat Harold. And okay, is Harold sliding downhill now, or is he going to come roaring back and reclaim the throne, kind of a thing? I mean, he won the Olympia last year, but is he going to keep it?
Yeah.
Right.
And then we got a bunch of other guys that are right under him too. I mean, I don't know if Anand is coming back, right, from India. If he comes back, he's scary. If he comes back, we got the
he's supposed to be competing
from,
at the Arnold UK this year.
That's what they're saying. Yeah. So now we're waiting to see. I mean, does he make it there? Because he has to do that to qualify, right? So we're waiting on him to see if he's coming back this year or not. And then we got the new guy Carl from Germany. That guy,
he's a beast.
That guy's a monster. So we'll see where he places in the lineup. He definitely might be in the top 3-4. I mean,
Well, even Troy, that's from Canada, he looks pretty good. He won his card this year.
Tori?
Yeah, Tori. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Tori. Yeah, well, so that's what I'm really interested in. He is, if I got their stats right, Brad is 6'5", Tori's 6'4". So I mean, these are some monster dudes. They are tall. So to see these giant structures, and I'm really curious to see them next to each other, and just because they're the biggest bone structures on stage.
Oh yeah.
So Tori's an interesting wild card. I don't know where's he going to place. That's really interesting.
Yeah. Comes down to conditioning usually when it comes to that.
When I wrote down all the names of who I think is going to be at the Olympia, I think every place from 1st to 10th is up in the air. There's nobody in the top 10 that has a real set spot this year.
Yeah.
In the past, there was a couple where, you were pretty sure this guy will take 3rd, this guy will take 4th, but this year, the whole thing is crazy. Anybody can place anywhere in the top 10 this year,
It's like, I think whenever Gabriel beat Harold, I think it made everybody just kind of like step up their game even more. Like, he can be beat, thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
a lot
that
of
always
drama
makes me
heading
more
into
exciting.
this one.
And that's what I'm hoping. Yeah, the Generation Iron documentary and this podcast and stuff, that it'll get the history of the wheelchair division out there so that the crowd knows what you're looking at. And we're not the only ones excited about it. You guys can be excited too, because you kind of know what's on the line here and all this crazy history behind it. How did it come to be with everything Nick's done? And, really a fascinating story. So we got to get the story out there more, We got to have Nick on the podcast one of these times and just tell us about day one of getting the ball rolling with all this. What was it like? And,
It's a lot. I've talked to him like they're down in Dallas. We were talking a little bit about it, and it's just everything he was talking about. Like, that is so much just on one person to coordinate everything for us. And it's like, I can't thank Nick enough for everything that he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just,
you got to respect the guy for everything he's done for the sport. I mean, he's given a lot of his own time and energy into it. So, I mean, if you think about it, there's other people out there who probably would volunteer, but would they have put in the level of effort and energy that he did?
I don't think so. That's hard to find.
Yeah, I doubt it. So
yeah, and how hard it must have been in the very beginning when there was Nick and one other guy on stage kind of thing, and
yeah,
right.
Like getting the word out there enough that it grew. And then, hey, we got our first pro card. The IFBB approved giving somebody a pro card for the wheelchair division. And right. And now here we are, we're at the Olympia and we're getting a Generation Iron documentary. So to look at the whole story, it's a really crazy story. And I only hear bits and pieces of it. I don't know every detail of it, but to me, it's a fascinating story of how it grew from an idea. And now it's this thing that's starting to blow up,
Yeah.
I think it's really taken off over since whenever you won your card, like ever since then, I've been paying attention to it more and more. And it's just like the sports our class is just blowing up even more. It's getting bigger.
Yep. My year, 2018 is when I won my pro card. That was the last year that there was only one pro card given out. After that, there was two cards grown, right? So 2018 was kind of the explosion year. That's also the year we got into the Olympia.
Right.
Yeah. So my first pro show was the Olympia, which was fucking intimidating as shit. So like surprise. I'm like, shit. Okay. But, 2018 really was a explosive year for our sport and things really started getting momentum. And now we're still seeing, now the momentum's getting bigger now,
Well, if you listen to, James, what was the guy who came and spoke at Nationals, who's like the director of Olympia?
David, I can't.
Yeah, but he's like the CEO of the Olympia, basically. He runs.
He's the owner. Yes,
Dan Solomon.
Yes, Dan.
Yeah.
Dan Solomon. Yeah.
So he was at Nationals. I think he was in town. I don't know if he lives there or what, but he came to Wheelchair Nationals back in March and was just like spoke to the crowd and was talking about the wheelchair division. And he said that we are the most inspiring division of them all. And that's high praise. Thinking about the Olympia and all the people that come there, for him to think of it. Now, I don't know if he says that to all the divisions, but I think there's a lot to be said for, what we bring to it, different from everybody else. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Dan is really cool. He's a really nice guy. And I always notice he always makes a point to mention us in almost every interview that I see. When the Olympia is coming up, the Arnold's coming up, he'll be going through and saying, every division is exciting. And we got Nick Walker going for the Olympia title. And he'll always throw in wheelchair at the end somewhere. He actually makes a point to remember us. So I always notice that with him, So
I think he really believes in our class.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot of them do it. And it's I feel like sometimes it's just wheelchair class is here, then get him off stage type of thing. I don't feel like that, but he really makes us feel like, hey, we're actually a big part of it now.
Hey, and to be honest, this Generation Iron might be one of the most interesting of them all. If you think about it, like we're in a chair every day and dealing with it, but for people who aren't, it might be just fascinating to just see what it's like, so it's going to be pretty cool to watch.
Most people see us just we cruise around in our chairs, but they don't see how we have to train or what we have to do on a daily basis just to live the day. And it's 10 times harder than what it is for an able-bodied person. And they think their day is a bad day, but you got to pick yourself up first thing in the morning to get in your chair. It's already a workout for the day, thing.
Yeah, and that's what it's going to go into. It's going to follow the 4 or 5 guys, whoever they pick. They're going to follow their preps, is my understanding, and really go deep. And let's go to the gym and watch them train. And so it'll be cool. It'll be really in depth, more than we've ever gone in depth before.
It's gonna help out
That's my
so much.
understanding anyway. That's what I'm understanding they're going to do, I think. So
That sounds about right. That's pretty much how most of the movies have gone. You know, they're following certain people all the way through their prep until they get up on stage. So yeah, it'll be cool. I'm looking forward to
We're
it.
following 5 of us. That's gonna be interesting to watch, just to see how everybody does their thing differently, because none of us are the same.
Mm-mm.
yep. But anyways, I got to go get a meal. But we'll try for maybe around this time next week.
Yeah, sounds good
Sounds
to me, man.
good.
But
I
we'll get a
enjoyed
big group text going and figure out when we can do the next one.
All right, man. Sounds good to me.
All righty.
All right.
I'll
See
talk
you
to you guys
guys
next week.
All right.
See ya.
All right, man. Have a good one.